Leading local this evening in our top story, North Dakota is seeing another day inside the federal courthouse in a battle against the U.S. government for costs incurred during the Dakota Access Pipeline protests. North Dakota called upon Colonel John Henderson, the former commander of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Omaha District, to speak as an adverse witness. KX News' Mary Gutenkopf discusses what happened in the seventh day of the trial.
The questioning of Colonel Henderson centered around the special use permit that the Corps issued to the protesters. This permit allowed them to utilize Corps land for their camps. In August of 2016, the Standing Rock Sioux tribe applied for a special use permit and began the permitting process. However, Colonel Henderson said that the process was never completed. He said he was not optimistic that they could get the permit finished administratively. So, after a month, he allowed the protesters to access the land south of the Cannonball River without the permitting process being fully completed. Henderson said that the permit never allowed people to camp north of the Cannonball River, as this was land rented by a local rancher. However, protesters did so, and the Corps did not attempt to remove people from that land. The Corps later received a citation from the state due to protesters on Corps land illegally dumping waste into the Cannonball River. Colonel Henderson said he wanted to send out a press release to acknowledge the ecological hazards protesters were creating as early as October. However, he says his overseers told him he wasn't allowed to release it. Instead, Colonel Henderson acknowledged these ecological hazards in a letter to Standing Rock Sioux Chairman Archambault in February. Colonel Henderson said due to limited Corps and law enforcement options and the protests becoming larger and more hostile, the permit was a way to acknowledge First Amendment rights and avoid inflaming the protest. Reporting for KX News, I'm Mary Gutenkopf.
Colonel Henderson also claimed Morton County always had the authority to come into the camp and arrest people who were not following state or local law despite it being on federal land.